The parents of Virginia's Loudoun County made their voices loud and clear during yesterday's school board meeting last evening, with many calling for the resignation of the board members and the superintendent over the cover-up. I mean, and I've heard it with my own ears, of sexual assaults that were committed in the girls' restroom by a biological male wearing a skirt. Now, this is what one of the parents had to say last night.
You just had hundreds of students walk out of the Loudoun County high schools today because they feel unsafe in schools. You haven't listened to parents or students for years. And now the students feel as if walking out is their only choice to be heard. You've all spent more time cleaning up and covering up this mess than actually preventing it. Did any of you even respond to this email on May 28th from Dr. Ziegler? Or was that email just business as usual? Was that email alarming to anyone?
Joining me now to talk about yesterday evening's meeting and other developments in Loudoun County is Meg Kilgannon, Senior Fellow for Education Studies here at the Family Research Council. Meg, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, it was explosive on Capitol Hill. A lot of the focus today was on education and the October 4th memo, which Loudoun County was really at the center of that memorandum. Now, we know that there was a cover-up, because on May 28th is when this assault occurred, where a biological boy wearing a skirt assaulted, raped a girl in the girls' restroom. On June the 22nd, the superintendent was asked about this, and he said, I have no knowledge of any sexual assaults occurring. The reason was this would have derailed their gender-neutral bathroom policy.
Right.
And parents now know what they were doing. So what happened last night?
And now it's undeniable. There was a FOIA request that revealed this memo that came out the day the assault happened in May that went to the school board members. So they were made aware that there had been an assault at that school. And so the radio listeners couldn't see it, but that mother in the clip that you just played was holding a placard with a copy of that memo on it, basically saying to the entire school board, we know you knew, and you said nothing. In fact, you hid it so you could pass your policy.
So what did parents call for last night?
They called for the resignation of the superintendent, Mr. Ziegler. They called for the resignation of basically the entire board. I mean, the entire board is complicit in this.
Does the superintendent resign?
It's going to be hard for him to stay. I think that he could resign. I mean, they could fire him. They could absolutely fire him. He serves at the pleasure of the board. So the board could do its duty as the governing body in that county.
Do they
and
do
fire
that
him.
to pacify the anger of the parents?
I think they need to do it to have someone competent come in and be the superintendent of the
But this
Loudoun
board
County
looks
Public
very
Schools.
political.
They do. But I don't think that letting him go would come off as a political move, because he's been caught in a lie. He's been caught in a cover-up.
But since the parents are now going beyond the superintendent, because the school board knew this too.
Sure.
They were informed by him. They didn't say anything in the June 22nd meeting either. So the parents want their resignations too. So do they use him as a scapegoat and throw him out there and say, we're firing him, hoping that will satisfy the parents?
They could. They could do that. I think that some of them could say, we got the memo saying that there was an assault reported, or, we weren't sure what had actually happened and there was no follow-up. Some of them could get away with that kind of obfuscation. But certainly everybody is complicit in this situation.
What will parents do next? What do they need to do if the board does not respond and the superintendent does not respond? What other options are available?
Well, we've seen the effectiveness of a recall campaign, because one of the school board members there, Beth Bartz, was about to be recalled, and that process was moving through the courts, as it must in Virginia, and she just decided to resign. So I think when parents get together, and it's not just a matter of haranguing the school board members at the meetings, which is important, and I think they should do. You need to match that energy with actual names on the petition of recall that demonstrate that you're not happy with this person. They could not win re-election if they were on the ballot today because of the numbers you have, and make the case that they need to go.
Of course, this situation is not, I mean, we're talking about Loudoun County, but this is an issue around the country because other schools have these bathroom policies, and who knows what other incidents have been covered up or what incidents may occur in the future because of these policies. Another option, I would assume, would be for parents to take their kids out of the public schools because, generally speaking, I'm not sure exactly the funding mechanism in Virginia, but I know in my home state that the money follows the student. If the student leaves the school's not going to get the money from the state.
Right. The funding mechanism isn't exactly the same in Virginia, but it definitely is based on enrollment. So students that are disenrolling will mean that the county is going to get less money from the state for sure.
Yeah.
So that's always an option. But even if you do pull your kids out, and sometimes you're in a situation where that is your only option, you can't remove yourself from the political process.
Right. I get that. But we've got to stay involved. But sometimes the situation is so bad that we can't allow our children to stay in these situations where they're being indoctrinated. And the brazen nature of the educational establishment, as if they're offended that parents want to be involved in the education of their children.
How dare we? Yes, and I think that mother summed it up well when she said, you spent more time covering up for yourselves than you spent trying to get to the bottom of what happened in that bathroom or trying to figure out how kids can be safe at school.
Yeah.
And that really is the way people are feeling out there right now.
Very quickly, Meg, this is spilling over into the governor's race there that's coming up in that election's next week in Virginia.
It is. And Terry McAuliffe keeps doubling down on the fact that he does not want parents to be involved in their children's education. And I hope he says it a lot because people see that for what it is.
Well, those parents not only need to be involved in education, but they need to be involved in
they need to vote.
Election.
That's right.
Meg Kilgannon, always great to talk with you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, folks.